to that person's proxy, or they're on detail, or whatever the case may be. So that was something that we had to.
You go in and make that simple change in the automation, and now that new person is getting those emails. When the other person comes back, they can still be swapped back out. And guess what? You're still seeing all the tickets that both of them have approved.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I know. That's why I wanted to come here. It's because yeah, it's leading us in
I
that.
know, but when I was describing it, you guys are looking at me like,
No, I got it. It's still figuring out like how can we.
An enforcement agency and a regulatory agency. We focus mainly these days on firearms and explosives, and to a lesser extent, we have tobacco diversion and alcohol diversion. A lot of the arrests around alcohol and tobacco are tax evasion, which is actually a Department of Treasury, but we do criminal, are you Treasury? Yeah. We do the people who are smuggling in and trying to, besides avoid taxes, but just trying not to go through the legal ways of selling their product. I was telling someone earlier, the last big case that I remember is someone was making wine in their house, the bathtub or something, and just putting it into bottles that they imported from Italy. So it looked like a fine Italian wine that they were selling for $40 a pop, but it was like, roaches from their bathtub. So we don't do a ton of alcohol stuff these days, but we do firearms. And with the proliferation of what the media is calling ghost guns, but what we call privately made firearms, that's our biggest push right now, is to try and get those things off the street. Our number one focus and our mission is to help prevent and stop violent crime, especially those involving firearms. Within ATF, we have about 11 directorates. I keep forgetting if it's 10 or 11. We have 25 field divisions. We have, of the 4 law enforcement agencies, we have the smallest amount of agents. We have a national mission to help curb guns, which are 3% of all Americans own 100% of the guns. But I think the number is close to 3 million guns that are legal out there, that are owned by 3% of the people. So we have a big mission, but we only have 2,700 agents for the entire country. FBI has 40,000, DEAs 20, U.S. Marshals. I forget. I'm actually also working for U.S. Marshals, and I should know this, but I forgot how many agents they have, or enforcers as they call them. So we have quite a bit of work to do. We also have a narrative that we're working against. I'm sure people have heard that we kill dogs and barbecue babies, I think is the current So that came from, the barbecue babies actually wasn't us, it was FBI, and I hope no one in here works for the FBI, and they did not barbecue babies, it was the Waco incident, so they still refer to that. Most of the people that do say that weren't even born when it happened, but and then the dog incidents, I'm not really sure because we have the best canine training program in all of law enforcement. So that is a narrative that we're working against as the external comms team. We do manage internal communications to a smaller degree. We're trying to build our team. We're severely understaffed. So Nikki has 3 roles in addition to running the team. She's also doing the tickets and running, managing the workflow, managing the content. But she's one of 3 branches that we have in our division. So we're trying to expand the internal comms. Right now we focus on external comms, and of the 29 components in the Department of Justice, ATF's website is number 4. Number 1, as a fun fact for the day, is how to find an inmate on the Bureau of Prisons. So you're looking for a relative. Then internally we have a bunch of customers. We have our bureau employees that request for content to be posted to the external site. We have people who do ask for us to post stuff to the internal site. We have external customers, which are usually local law and state law enforcement partners, and some other federal agencies. We work very closely with marshals and DEA and FBI. And then we have industry partners. Because we are also a regulatory agency, We have a separate site that we're not going to talk about today, but we do have a site that just focuses on regulations around firearms, some tobacco, some alcohol, but mainly firearms. So that site is also focused on what we call our enforcement programs that is geared specifically towards industry and mainly the legal parts of the big ones, Smith & Wesson, Walmart, big gun manufacturers. So next slide. Yes. So I am going to hand this over to Nikki to talk about our original process, and then I'm going to cheerlead from the corner.
So, as Hadiza had stated, we have all of these customers that we have to support. So, that can be chaotic. So our original process, we received all of our tickets through an email system. So we had two mailboxes, one that was focused for external requests and one that was focused on our internal requests. And based on the request that you're sending, whether it's going externally or internally, the process is a little bit different, but it's pretty much handled the same. So, for our customers, if you were submitting an internal ticket, that internal ticket can ask for something regarding a post regarding our employees, announcements, events that are going on, if we have training opportunities, if we're doing any of our in-house seminars, things like that, they would submit that request through our internal broadcast system, our broadcast mailbox, sorry. But the issue with that is, occasionally, some of these internal requests end up in our external mailbox. So there's kind of a little gap on who's covering what. So this is why we say that this is a one-start process. So for our customer, if you're submitting an internal request, you would pretty much draft that email. You would send it through your chain of command. So this email is now going from a simple request to now having everyone's concurrence, everyone's edits, back and forth jibber jabber, all in this one request ticket, and then finally they'll just hit forward and send it to that internal mailbox. What ends up happening is that we have a member on our team, so we alternate on who covers the box on what day. So if it's your day to cover the internal box, that is all you're working on, are the internal tickets. So this person who's covering this box will get this request. Now you have to go through the request and you have to say, you know what are you asking me for? Is this a people-related announcement? Is this an event? What are you asking for? And you have to decipher that through this long text that you're getting, and half the time it's really just a conversation going back and forth between people. So that made it a little bit hard. So what we ended up doing was taking out the content that we thought was what they were asking us to actually post, and we would go create a Word document. Then we would save that Word document, convert it to a PDF file. Then we would run our 508 compliance on that. Once it's done, we would then post it to our internal site. Then we would send our customer an email to say, hey, your request has been completed. This is the link that you can go to so you can access this request. Now, if you were submitting an external request, this can range from a seminar invite, a web page update, it can be a new page addition, something they want removed, content they want added as far as PDF files. Things like that all have a certain process they have to follow. So they would submit their ticket the same way, but they would submit it to our external mailbox. That would be ATF Web. So what they would do is they would have their request, and then they'll CC a person, well, not a person, but their supervisor, so that they can go ahead and review the content, and then it comes to us. Now, the issue with that is the same thing. There's back and forth chatter between, okay, no, I don't want this change, I want this change. Okay, hey, can you check on this? And then we're seeing all of this in this one request in this email. So then they're sending it up to us. So we're saying, okay, it must be ready to go because it came into our mailbox. So we go ahead, we take their content, if it's a web page update, we go onto our website, go on the back end, we clean it up, post it, publish, send them this confirmation email, same thing. They get the email, thanks. But then 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, hey, this was not approved, please remove this immediately. Excuse me, no, leave it up there. Wait, no, I need this taken back down. So now you have this back and forth of, am I taking it down? Am I leaving it up? What do I do? So sometimes we'll refer to Hadiza. Hey, do we pull this back or do we keep it in draft until they're ready? So a lot of times this what was happening, and it got to a point where our customers stopped sending them to the specific mailbox they were supposed to send them to, and they would send the request to both. So now you have two people working two different mailboxes getting duplicate requests. This is becoming an issue because now you're bombarding our box. This mailbox that is externally related to the external requests is also on our external site. So now we're battling with our customers asking for requests. We're battling with the spam because at about 3 a.m., some crazy person is sending us their life story. I don't know why. Hey, it can range from, I'm being kidnapped every single day. I don't think that's possible. You know, then there's the love mail, as I like to call it. You know, the I hate you guys. You kill dogs. Things like that. And it's like, but we don't do that. We love dogs. We have a canine division. What are you talking about? They don't care about any of that. So you're now battling between all of these requests and this back and forth chatter, the spam and everything, in order to actually get something done. So, in order to fix that,
Well, we should say that there were SOPs, so it's not that
Yeah.
this was done in the absence of SOPs, it's just that people choose to adhere which portion, certain portions and ignore the rest. And of course, like everywhere else, everyone's request is the most urgent thing ever, it's the most critical. So it was hard for us to triage because again, everyone's like, well, the director wants this. And I'm like, the director must want everything on the website because every request comes in with the director wants this. So that was additional, why there was a problem in the email because there was no way to triage requests.
and not only that, we also have to remember, anything we post externally, if it is a file, it has to be Section 508 compliant. We follow our mandates. So just because we have an IRA customer who's saying, hey, I sent this in the mailbox 2 days ago, why isn't it up? One, we have a 48-hour turnaround. Okay, you cannot bother me within that time because we're working on it. You know, you have to pretty much decipher the jibber jabber. It's too much decoding just to get what you need, and it really messes up your productivity. Because of all of this gunk that was in our boxes, what ended up happening was we were posting incorrect content. We had a bunch of people who would come up and say, hey, did you even get this request? Again, I mailed this to you 2 days ago. Well, I asked you, hey, you were missing something in your request. Can you submit this to me? You never replied. But then you check later on to see they did reply, but they sent it to the wrong mailbox. So now there's that miscommunication that's going on. So we realized that this became so frustrating that we were like, you know what, this can't work. This email-based ticketing system is not for us. So we ultimately decided to make the switch. And some of the reasons why are these limitations to the email request. So remember, I told you, everything is coming in based off of an email. So at some point in time, this email chain can break. So you can have the requirements that you actually need to post in this brand new email, but you've been going based off of this whole entire thread that they've sent prior to you actually seeing this new ticket come in. So we had that as an issue. Network issues, because everyone has the most perfect network here, okay? I know we're not the only one. When you have network issues, there are times where you're like, you know what, I sent this request an hour ago. I still haven't seen anything. And then you go look and you're like, oh shoot, it's in my outbox. It never even went. So now we're battling us not receiving an email because of the network. We're battling all of the communication that's going on because of this email. And then because of all of this jibber jabber, this junk, it is minimal clarity. So again, we're now posting what we think is what you want. Whether it is or not, this is what you made clear in this thread of an email. Next, we had the request requirements and the updates and corrections. Again, based off of that email system, it is not an easy way to track changes. So, based off of that, what I'm trying to get you to understand is that you're either going to get too much information or too little. And when you're asking for more information, there's a chance it's not a reply all, it's just a reply. So people are left out of this thread, and now you're having information that's being passed on, again, that may not have been vetted, that will have to be rescinded later on. So we also had to battle the issue of duplicate request submissions. Now this was a big one. Because we're supporting all of these different groups of directors, our people that we have sending in emails, your group can say, you're in charge of sending the emails. For this side, you're in charge of sending it. You're in charge of it for your group. But now I'm getting emails from you. I'm getting emails from him. I'm getting emails from her. And this is all confusing what you actually want. So when it comes down to it, you're sending me the same request that she sent me. He's sending me the same request that you sent. Now you all may have slight differences in what this request is because no one can see what is being sent because it's all being tracked via email. Now we also had to deal with the unknown supervisory authorization. So again, if you're forwarding these emails, chances are someone's going to be left off. And it could actually be the opinion that matters. A lot of times you will see you're getting content based off of how people feel. So you may feel as though this has been properly written. You want this announcement to go out, you're ready to go. Then you send it to her for a review and she's like, you know what, no, I don't like it. I don't like how it was worded. So she makes an update. But the thing is, she's not your supervisor. It was not supposed to go through her. So now when we get this content, it's been vetted by you two. But say you're the supervisor, you've never seen it. So then we post it and we send this confirmation email. You're now checking the site, you're like, whoa, I never sent this in, I never approved this, pull it back now. So now we're getting hate mail. Hate mail from our internal customers who are higher up on the chain because they didn't see this content. They didn't vet it, any of that. It's literally out there and they're like, get it down now. So that was something that we had to battle and we had to figure out a way, how are we going to make sure that the content that we're getting is clear? How are we going to make sure that the content we're getting has been vetted? How are we going to make sure that all this back and forth chatter is separated out? These were all things that we were going through and we said, you know what, we need to switch.
And just to make it sound like we're not that incompetent, so it was, people would copy, we had points of contact, so we said no content should come to us unless your chief of staff has been copied. Well, they would copy the chief of staff, and the chief of staff would ignore it for a while, and then the chief of staff would look on the website and be like, oh, wait, I never approved this. Yeah, but you were copied on the email. So that, to us, signals that you've approved this content, so I can't chase you if you didn't read it. And they'd be like, oh, well, I didn't read it, so take it down now. But it's been out there for a week, and we keep having to reiterate, when you put the content out, a week later, when you pull it down, it attracts a lot more attention than if you just read the email when you got it. Or now we have to put content up to explain why we took that content down, because someone's going to send us an email with Google Cache saying, well, you had this up. So technically, this could apply, and legally they could take that to court. And then what do you do? Because at some point we did either provide guidance, because we are a regulatory agency, that they could take to court and say, well, at some point ATF said that I was allowed to do this with whatever, my product or my gun or whatever it was. And it was because some chief of staff somewhere just didn't read the content. So we did everything that we could following the SOPs. It was incumbent on the requesters to follow the process, but that was the problem we were having.
So we knew that we needed a new system, and our goals would be to organize these incoming requests, to pretty much streamline the process, because again, if we're having to go back and forth to say, hey, has this really been approved? Hey, we need more information from you, it's a holdup somewhere. So now think about it. I told you that turnaround time was 2 days, 48 hours. Again, in that 48-hour window, I'm working on it, okay? Like, don't start bombarding us with requests because we're working on it. But again, this is why we said that this email-based ticketing system was not working, because again, our customers never knew if we had started their request. The only thing you know is that it's been completed. That's pretty much the only communication, other than we need something more from you. So we also needed to improve our tracking and maintain the information in a single request. That was important because again, based off of that email system, it's emails. You're not keeping everything in one centralized location. So it's just, everything is jumbled up together. They have PDF files that they've added in. you know, you're starting to see a bunch of different files listed at the top of this email, and you're like, which one is the right version? I'm really confused. This is not working. So then again, we're going back to this, let me send you this email. Chains are being broken, so we needed a way to centralize all of this. And we wanted to make our communications with our customers more effective. Because again, email-based ticketing systems, it's not going to work. If you have multiple people in a box, the ability to pull this information out of this joint box into their personal. So now, think about it. If you are working on this ticket, and it is in this mailbox that is going for our external request, and you pull it into your personal box, the person working the next day doesn't know what the status of this ticket is because you've taken it into your personal box. So now no one knows if it's being done. So then this person who's taking it on the second day says, you know what? It was never touched. I'm gonna go ahead and fulfill this request. Well, now you got a duplicate. So that's a problem. So you also wanted to reduce the amount of misinformation going out. Again, as Hadiza stated, one thing we do not want to do is post something on our external site and have to pull it right back off, because now you're messing with your public trust. And you do not want to start getting people to say, oh my God, they're hiding information, they're telling us lies, they're doing all this stuff, because they always want to villainize us, okay? It goes way back beyond the Waco. It's just how people are. Sometimes they just want to hate you for no reason. And they will send this in our external mailbox. Again, that's their love note at 3 a.m. I get on at 7 a.m. and it's like, F you. Wow, thanks. You know, like, to me, you cared enough to send us something. But this is what we're battling with when we're looking at requests, and it's like, I need this request. Hey, I've been kidnapped. Hey, was this posted? Oh, this wasn't right, take it down. And these are all because of how this information is coming in. And again, we have multiple people working on the boxes on different days. So we needed to organize all of this information. And we also needed a way to track the ticket from start to finish. So once it's been submitted, again, that customer just knows I sent an email. They don't know if it's been received. They don't know if we're working on it. Hey, the only thing that you know is, oh wow, they finished the request, thanks. And on busy days, I will not lie. There are a couple of times where we haven't been able to send out a confirmation email. So then we'll get the next day, hey, was this ever posted? And it's like, yeah, it was posted 2 days ago. So these were things that we were battling with. And this is why we needed a new system. So this pretty much goes to our pains and gains. Again, tracking those duplicate requests. We needed a way to give our customers a way to say, you know what? If we're all on a team, I need to see what my team is submitting. That clears up that whole duplicate request problem. You know, if you decide to cancel a ticket, again, if you're doing it based off of an email system, this person is sending this email 10 minutes later, or the system, the network has actually gone down. So you may not even get that rescinded email from them until hours later, the next day, depending on how the network is going. We also had to have something that shows our ticket status. So you know, they're not sure whether their ticket has been opened, looked at, touched, nothing. So we needed a way to have this actually conveyed to our customers. Next, we were able to look at, the request approvals. So again, that was something that we needed in this new system. And because we were using a ticketed-based system for our developers that worked, they were actually offering a service desk, that we decided, you know what? This could actually work for our internal customers. So that is what we decided to go ahead and venture out to. Now, I will show you a little bit of fun, because we have this new system. So again, everything that we were going through with the email-based ticketing system has been corrected, for the most part, in our software. And we actually have this service desk, and it started as a service desk and eventually evolved into a service management system. So we actually grew with our service management system. And I will show you now. So instead of our customers sending us an email with all of this jibber jabber, they simply log into this portal, and this is what they see. They now, oh, sorry. But we have it set up so that if you're going to submit an internal request, it's going to come through our announcements and internal communications. If you're going to submit an external request, it will now go through our ATF web updates portal. So the best part about this is you are teaching your customers how to treat you, how to submit your content. You are teaching them, hey, this is the proper way to submit your request. This is what we need. And you do this by building out this portal. So each of these tiles are what we call issue types. Our site is broken up into our external requests and our internal requests. So for our internal requests, they are able to send bureau-wide announcements. So these are our normal announcements, you know, everything that's going on in the agency, if there's a person update regarding their position, if they have a name change, a new birth, an obituary announcement, things like that will all go through our internal communications. And here's the thing, when we started, all we thought were, we need to give our customers a way to submit us a request where we're not having to go through all of this frustration of, hey, is this clear? Has this been approved? All of that stuff is corrected here. Why? Because of how we created the form. So you open this issue type, and now you have these different request forms. So now these are the main requests that our customers were submitting. So when we were sitting here building this out, we had to put ourselves in our own shoes, and we had to put ourselves in the shoes of the customer. What are you submitting? How are you submitting this content? Are you submitting it with an email and a PDF file? Are you submitting it with a PDF or a link? Are you submitting a Word file? So we needed something that gives them that same flexibility, but it's just in a service management system. So for those internal announcements, again, we go to this first tile because we put it in the help text. We put it in the help text that, hey, these are the different requests that you are able to submit using this one form. And we made that form dynamic, so that way it can capture most of our requests that go on our internal portal. So if I were to submit a request right now, if you could tell someone. I did. Okay. I'm going to submit a test one. So my team member is actually working from home, and he's going to cover this ticket for me on the back end. So now we have this wonderful form. And again, this is a form that we created using this tool. And it pretty much allows you to add the different fields. It allows you to make it required if you need to, because again, for some of these things, we needed them to provide us with this information. They didn't want to give it to us via email. You're required to via form. So now this content has to be approved. And the way we have this set up is, it goes straight down in the line. So you start off with, has this request been approved by your chain of command? Yes or no? If the answer is no, we have an automation set so that it will ping your supervisor or whoever set in that role to approve your request before it even comes to us. That has made life a breeze. That is us catching this whole chain of command that was never approved. Next, we have the announcement title. Again, enter a short title for this announcement as it will appear on the site. So now we're telling them, whatever title you put in here, we're just going to clean it up. But this is the title that you wanted to go out in, so please be careful. And we make that something that we emphasize with them. So occasionally, they'll still send in a, hey, birth this person. But they will put the rest of the information in this body. So our announcement content or additional information section here, this is how, if you want to draft up this announcement, instead of drafting it in the email, you are now able to do it right here in this rich text editor. And again, I told you, we started off with this service desk and we grew with it. So at first, our customers did not have the ability to actually manipulate the text. They didn't have the rich text ability. All they had was plain text. So then we had to give them the way to send us content that had links, styling. How do we do that? With our attachments. So here, you can draft that announcement for us in Word and just throw it in here. We'll take it, and then we're gonna copy and paste whatever is in that content, and we're gonna put it right here into our rich text editor. And this is important because of how we have it set. So for this example, I'm going to put test. And we're going to do a birth announcement of someone give me a name.
Scooby-Doo.
Oh, sorry about it.
Is that Lucy? Lucy do. So we're going to say, we are pleased to announce the birth of Lucy Diddy.
At
Two.
3 a.m.
The NAGW Conference at 3 o'clock a.m. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to continue going down our form. So the method of posting, automatically we have this set to post to our ATF Connect portal. That's our internal portal. Our internal homepage is what we cover. So that is all of our announcements, again, regarding those job opportunities, the people-related announcements, our pretty much general announcements, events, things like that. But they also have the option to uncheck them. We just have it set so that it's automatically checked. They don't have to worry about it. Next, they have the option, if they want this content to end up on our electronic displays. We cover that too. So they have that option to say, hey, I want it on the e-boards. Or if they want it to go out as a standalone email, you can uncheck all of those and just click that and we'll send that out as an email. Next, you'll let us know what the audience is. Again, we can send it to all of our employees or just our headquarters only. And then we have them select the priority. Now, it's normally set to normal, and we also tell them in our help text. This is why this form setup is very important, because again, you're teaching them what you need, what is a requirement in this help text. So here's where we tell them, you can select high. However, we reserve the right to change that priority based on how we see fit, because of how we work our tickets. Next, I'll just go ahead and hit send. Oops, sorry. Here's the thing. I didn't select yes at first, so if you don't select an option, it will not allow you to submit the ticket, which was a good example. So, just gonna go ahead and click yes, and hit send. So, what this action actually does is it will send me an email as the customer to say, your ticket has been submitted. So now we at least know, oh my gosh, the team has actually got it. It's not an, oh, is it sitting in my outbox? Did they get it? Are they looking at it? Where did it go? We all know where it's going. So the customer now sees this screen. This screen gives them the information they put into that ticket. So it lets them know, yes, it's been approved by their chief of staff. It lets them know what the actual content is that they want posted. So again, this content here was what we decided to post. This was the body of the announcement. Test Birth Lucy Lou is the title. This gives you the ticket number. So now, instead of having an email that you have to go back and forth to, and you have to say, hey, can you check your outbox or your inbox for such and such a date at such and such a time for this request, you don't have to do that anymore. You can simply just look it up based on the ticket. Sorry. It also tells you the details of that ticket. So remember the method of posting, where it's going, the email audience, what that priority was. Here, you have the option to leave your notifications on. That is how you know the status of your ticket. So right now, it's saying submitted because I created this ticket. It's letting you know what request type it was. So that is our internal issue type. So it's telling you that you sent a bureau-wide announcement request. So that is the request that it's going to go under. And it also shows you who it's shared with. So because I am a super user, I see a little bit more than my customers do. Now, it also, this is very important, it gives them the option to cancel this request right here. So now we don't have to worry about, oh my God, 10 minutes later, hey, pull that down because we canceled the request. Well, that email came in about 20 emails later, so I didn't see it because I was going bottom up. Now we don't have that issue anymore because it'll come up here. And the interesting thing is, this comment section. I can comment in this ticket and the agent is going to see it. They can comment on their side and I'll see it. The cool thing about how this works is that, remember I said, once I sent that request, this is what I see. But I'm also going to get an email. Now, give me 1 second. Kind of scared to pull up my email box. for you to see that email, but pretty much the system sends you an email. And the best part is, you don't have to be logged into this system in order to communicate with us. So, as long as you have that email, that last email that was sent between us, so for example, this first email that they're gonna get is, your request has been submitted. Well, say I wanna say, hey, I've got a couple of other things that I need. Yeah, I'm battling up against my queue coming back in. So, pretty much it's gonna send you an email, and in that email, it's letting you know your request has been submitted. You can reply back to that email with an attachment, and guess what? It's all gonna show up in your ticket. Any comment that you put is no longer showing up in the announcements. It is now showing up in the comment section of this ticket. So, let me see. Is he working this one?
Yeah, they said that.
Okay. And just hook into the other side of it. So this is the back end of this ticket, right? My team member has actually completed it, so I'm sorry. Just try to show you. There we go. So this was that bird ticket, right? And it said, hey, it's been received. So here, it's letting us know it's been received. He went and did it on the back end. So then when he changed that status to done, it now sent me another email. It also sent it to in progress. So, sorry, I kind of jumped over here. He changed the status from submitted to in progress. Once he did that, it is an automation set so that now it sends me an email to say, hey, your ticket is now in progress. That's why we have this here. Now, depending on how quickly he completes that ticket, it will combine these response emails. So now your customers are not getting 10 to 15 different emails every time you've done an update to the status. So now I'm going to come back on here, and I will actually work a ticket from the back end now. So as an agent, right? Now this is what I'm going to see as an agent. I am so sorry that this is like so blurry for you all. But as an agent, pretty much after they've entered that ticket, so remember that ticket that we saw on the front end where it had all of the prettiness of the, you can cancel your request, all this comes into a queue. And this queue is separated out based off of that request type. So I've already had my coworker go in and create 2 test tickets for us. So for example, this one he wants us to post this press release. These are requests that we get often. So it makes it a lot easier. We'll just go in and look at what they provided us with. Now, I'm sorry because I'm a little bit ahead of myself. I need you to see how we got there. So for those web updates, remember, we come into here and now we decide, okay, are we going to send a press release, a web update, or are we going to send a Federal Register action? Now that is for our information collection notices. So again, I made these forms specifically for these request types. And when we started, we did not start off with all of these different forms. We just had 1 or 2. And that's why it's important to have iterations. Once you're putting this product out, you will just continue to improve it. You're not going to have everything done the first go round, but as long as you're able to capture how your customers are submitting requests with a general form, it helps you pretty much build out the other ones later on. And then you can go ahead and customize them a little bit better.
And I'll stop it or interrupt here to say that we still have the emails, the email boxes set up because we do have special requests that do not necessarily adhere to any one of these forms that we've created. These are routine requests. Every so often we'll have something like we need to do a website redirect from a vendor that's selling an illegal firearm. And so then it has to be pointed to a page on ATF.gov, and that's not a common occurrence, so they'll send that request in because it has to come with a warrant, and it has to come in with like a whole bunch of IP addresses and PII, so that will still go to the mailboxes. So these are for routine requests. Eventually, if that becomes a common thing, now that we're moving into the world of PMFs, then a form will be created for that, where it addresses what to do when you have a warrant to take over someone's website.
So can I ask you a question? So, so since you're basically putting all the content on a form on an editor, how do you keep track of the changes that may come during different iterations?
Document everything. So that's a big part of it. A lot of these we would have as a separate file where we were pretty much tracking all of our changes. I'm not even gonna lie, there have been a couple of times where we've had sessions where as we're building this out, we will screen record because we need to remember what is changing. If we need to go back in and edit this form so that we're taking a portion of it out because now we're creating a specific request form for this now, this is all we're gonna have to go back in and manipulate because we've already had it documented what was set up in the beginning.
Do you add the screen recording to that ticket, or just for
No,
your
we
own?
put it in our digital asset management system, so that's an internal thing just for us. Now, so again, with this form, we pretty much taught our users what information they're giving us. So here, we have the title. These are for our press releases, and we get those often. So a lot of our requests that we usually get for the day will usually involve page updates, press release postings. We've now started to get a lot of the seminar invites to our industry members. So now we have to actually get those loaded up, but they come in via email because we haven't created a request form for them yet. So, again.
And that's a little more complicated too because it's a third-party tool. So basically we're saying come learn about gun laws, and it's a seminar to gun owners and or gun manufacturers, and then we use GovDelivery to get those emails out to the people. And eventually we'll add how to schedule to attend an event, so that's going to be another third-party tool. So those things, because that is an iterative or involves so many other tools, it's a little longer of a process to create a form.
So, actually saying, that is why that request is slightly different. So we keep it, well, not slightly, it's completely different. So we keep that separate. I have not created a request type for that yet, but it is coming soon. So the best part is for the main request that we do receive, we do have a request form to capture all of this data. So here, again, when they're sending in their press releases, we've made this so easy for them. They can just send us the title. Most of the press releases, they either come from US DOJ or another government entity or a police department, law enforcement entity. So they have the option to just put the title, drag and drop that link, or drag and drop your document right here into the attachment section. And then we require them to provide us with their field division, because again, when we were getting this via email, I would have to go research what field division you're a part of and pray that that is the one that I'm supposed to be putting this to, and it's not you're just acting for this other field division right now. So we also have it set so that if it's national news, so something that is national news goes on a specific page. So we have them tell us yes, and those are only our main important press releases we post on that page. So again, they have the ability to say, yes, this is a high priority. And we get that a lot. And here's the thing, it's not. So everyone's request is a priority. You can do that every day. You can do that with every request. And I'm going to change it back. Because at one point, for this form, it had an automation set so that if you hit this high priority, and if you hit our national news inclusion, it will send another email to the person working on the internal box to say, hey, this press release is important, put it in your daily broadcast. And what we had as a daily broadcast was pretty much all of the announcements that we posted and our important press releases and advisories, that would all go in that separate email that goes out at the end of the day. But since we took that out, I had to take that option out of this request form. So that came later on. So now they can click high priority, and all it's gonna do is send me an email. And again, if it's not a priority, we're not gonna sit here and pretend like it is. So next, they would hit send, and then again, that request comes into the queue. So my coworker has gone ahead and done one of these for us. So I'm going to look at this ticket here. So this is literally how this would go on a normal day. I would open up this website URL because I've made them give me a location. So this here is telling me this is the request. This is the press release they want to be posted. So now I just come in here, and it really is as simple as a copy and paste. So now on my end, I'm just working this ticket. And I'll put that title, because again, that's how it was on this site. We'll pull out that information that we needed. I go ahead and enter that in. And now I go back because I need to know, well, what field division, right? It is the Columbus one. So now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select this Columbus field division because again, the field division is important when we're creating these press releases, right? So as you see on this back end, you see this asterisk is telling me this is important. It's a required field. So that's why on my request form, I make that required as well. Next, I just go down and I go ahead and I publish it. But for the sake of this example, I'm not publishing it to our site because it will show up in our queues and everything else, and I just don't want to throw off that balance. So now I have our finished press release, and all I'm going to do is go here, grab this URL, but I have to make sure I'm pointing it to the public site. So I put that www in there because if they try to hit the edit side, you're not getting it. It's restricted. Just letting you know if you want to try to hack us later, it's restricted. So now I'll come back into that ticket. See, this is how I like to write because sometimes a ticket can be a little bit overwhelming. So what I end up doing is I go through the requirements. A lot of times it's just easier for me to draft it up and then I go in and I just start hitting it because I'm already done. Now, if this was something that took me a long time to do, again, that's when we follow our regular process, which is switch this ticket to in progress because I've started it, right? So I want my users to think, oh my gosh, she's super fast. So what did I do here? I went ahead and fulfilled their request and then I changed the status. So now they're getting that email. She started it. And then I come in and we are using a canned response. And these are all different integrations that you can put into your service management system. So our canned responses are apps. It's an app integration. You can have apps that will literally convert your documents for you. So the way you have your form set up, all of those fields can show up in a form, can show up in a document, right? So whenever you want to reply, you can have another app integration. We have canned responses. So now I don't have to sit here and draft up every single time I complete this request. Hey, this request has been completed. It has been posted to such and such page. All I have to do is come into the canned response and then I choose a template. So you can pin your responses right here. This is an amazing part because now I'll just come in, choose press release, and it's already got the text there. So all I need to do is just drop this link in and I hit save comment. Now, as you can see, what you may not be able to, it's saying reply to customer. So you have the ability within this ticket to reply to your customer and it's going to send them an email with this information. Or you can have an internal note and you guys can sit there and communicate with each other. One thing I always tell my crew is we never have personal talk inside of these tickets. If you're going to do that, take it to Slack. But you keep it professional in these tickets because, again, you never know what could happen. So now I'm replying to my customer, and I hit save comment. So that save comment fires off an email to them. and it's letting them know that this has been posted. And now I'm going to send the final one, and this is to let them know their request is done. So now I'm changing this status. So within your service management system, you have the ability to change your workflow to whatever you need it to be. So for us, we have different steps. You know, we have our in progress, we have our green lit step. That is letting us know that green lit means that it's gone through your chain of command. It's been approved, so now it's hitting our box. We're ready to go. If you cancel that request, it removes it out of our queue and it lets us know it's been canceled, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. The cool thing is they still have the ability to reopen that ticket if they accidentally canceled it, and it will pop back up in our queue. So again, because we've already worked this ticket, all I have to do now is hit done. And that's it. My request is done. So I am no longer going back and forth with customers. I am no longer sitting here saying, oh my God, what are you asking me to do in this request? It is literally done for you using this system. Our turnaround went from 48 hours to what? 10, 15 minutes?
Well, it just took you 5 minutes to do that. But,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
but also the reply to customer option.
Which one?
So if let's say she didn't have all the information that she needed, she didn't know who the U.S. attorney was for the Columbus Field Division. She could then send a note to the customer saying, hey, who is the U.S. attorney for the Columbus Field Division? And then the email gets sent to it's automatically generated, and then they can respond either from the ticket they get, again, they don't have to be logged in, and it comes back, and then you see the responses in the ticket itself. But that status gets changed to waiting for customer, or waiting for requester.
So again, this tool can be whatever you want to make it. And I really mean that honestly, because again, we started off with the email-based ticketing system, and you can imagine it was a nightmare. Again, our customers said we sucked. You all are terrible. I have to come chase you down. Can you imagine? You're sitting there at your desk trying to eat lunch, and then about 5 different people have come running past. Hey, did you work on this request? Did you work on this request? They don't know who's touching their ticket because, again, none of this is being conveyed to them. They're pretty much in the land of the unknown once their ticket has been submitted. But here, you now know we've touched it. You now know what status it is. You now know all of the things that you didn't know when you were using that email-based ticketing system. And the interesting thing is we also have the ability to set up that portal. Let me find it for you. Oh, sorry. So you have the ability to customize your portal in the look and feel. So again, when we started out, I didn't have all of this stuff set up. We had 2 of our issue types, which were internal communications and external communications. And we pretty much went with those 2 main forms, right, for a while, up until the point where we were like, you know what, I need to give my customers a little bit more. They're asking for a little bit more. We need to make sure that we're accurately hitting things, because I don't want to keep seeing requests that should be posted in this portal coming to this email box. So, once we created this system, we worked this as they did. So we still continued to actually have different phases of our launch. So it first started off with us launching it to our internal team. Next, we opened it up to certain groups, and then we opened it up to our customers. So it's all a phased approach. Back to the slides. Oh, sorry. I also wanted to show you again, when you submit your requests, because of those duplicate requests, you don't have to worry about that, remember? Why? Because I can go up here into this corner and click requests and see all the ones that are created by me and all the ones that are created by people in my group. So now there's no more, hey, we posted this 2 years ago. This person sent it. Do you happen to have that still? No, because the email box clears them out after 30 days. I don't have it just like you don't. So now you gotta start from scratch. But with this system, you don't have to do that, because all you have to do is just click on the queue and just bear with me. Mine is gonna look a little different again. I haven't had any active requests that I submitted because I closed it out when we did this demo. I can look at all of the tickets. So all of the different statuses, the workflow statuses we have, you can check tickets that are in each of the status. So that is a cool thing that this tool offers. So if I want to see all of the tickets that I created, all of these. So mind you, this was launched back in October, and we've got over 6,000 tickets that we've completed in this system. Our customers went from saying you suck to you guys are amazing. You rock. And out of all 3 branches, I think we're the only ones that have this system, which makes us a little bit more sophisticated. So now we can go back into our presentation. And again,
We're running short on time, but long and short of it, it can be adapted and customized for the look and feel for your agency. We recommend onboarding in groups with your highest requesters first. And then they serve as almost your ambassadors, kind of like your social media ambassadors. They tell the other folks how successful the product is. Also, because we did this sort of surreptitiously because they didn't actually approve us to buy the software initially, we did it and it was so successful that they couldn't tell us that we couldn't purchase it anymore, so we did it that way. What else is key? With the rest of our branches, we'll be moving towards this in the next year or so. We've connected it with a bunch of third-party tools, so it is adaptable to some other tools that make that as part of your, your outward-facing customer experience. Depending on it's scalable. So depending on your needs, you can scale the product to meet your needs.
So what's the name of the software?
Yeah, so we're not, as you know, as government, we cannot say, it's Jira software, Jira Service Management. It's part of the Atlassian tool.
and I just showed her today something that was really cool. So our customers can actually submit tickets using their cell phone. They no longer have to be tied down to their government laptop. They can submit it via cell phone, and as the agent, because of all of our different integrations, we can work that ticket on the back end, and when we're ready for it to be posted, go into the office, hit download, because we've already created that template, right? So we're gonna hit it off to the template and go ahead and post it, and that request is done. It is a breeze. You do not have to be tied down to your computer anymore. You have the flexibility, and because they have an app, you can look at these tickets via the app as well.
Yeah. So does that integrate with SharePoint, do you know?
We haven't done it. Supposedly it does. We're still waiting to get our SharePoint to a point where it can integrate with anything.
Yeah. So we built something similar from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? It does very much similar things to what you all do. Now we have to migrate to a new version of SharePoint, of course. Where we run the issue is, I mentioned the tracking piece, and also the one voice, right? Because we do have a full-time senior editor that she takes a look at all the different. You guys all do.
Yeah, and
right?
automation
Right.
can help you with that.
Yeah, so the automation is good, but I think what I'm trying to get at is the voice, right? So you have all these customers sending you all this information. How do you make sure that it's the same voice going back out there? Right.
What do you mean?
Right.
Outside of canned responses,
Right.
so if they're
No,
usually,
I'm talking about the information that's being posted
oh,
out there.
to the public, you mean?
Right.
Yeah, so that is a different process. These are routine, simple updates. If it's going to be a narrative, something that is a lot more extensive, then that is a ticket assigned to a writer-editor, and then they go through. We have it's also a Jira product, but it's part of our
It's a
suite.
different side of
It's a
Jira.
different side of Jira, and then that ticket works its way through that system before it's updated to the website. For example, right now we are getting ready to do a profile on the first female agent at ATF, right? So that's part of our content that speaks to how we're trying to humanize ATF agents. So that's our narrative, that's our voice. We're trying to basically change the narrative, and that goes through the writer editors. So our team of writer editors have their own ticketing system, and that is not interfaced with the requesters or the public. That is just internal, because those content pieces are long form and they speak more to the ATF voice than let's just update, a press release.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To also piggyback off of that, because this system is also connected to our Jira board, those rider tickets that she was talking about, we can actually tie them in together in this request type too. So it could work that way where anyone that's on our development team, if I need to pull them into a ticket because it is a very complicated request, we can capture that in here. And I can also have my devs come in, tag in as watchers, and they're able to work on whatever ticket, link it in here, and it's tied together. So it's all kept together. So it's a really cool system.
So you still have like customers or people. So do you get requests that try to come in late, email or Slack or whatever?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So what we did is after we onboarded, so we had a phased approach to our onboarding. We did it in groups. For each group, I gave you office hours for support, and after that, I gave you a 2-week deadline. After that, I'm not taking your emails. You are sending it all through our system. And I was very adamant about that. I will kick that ticket back. But if you have not been onboarded, I was a little bit lenient, and I will give you some time. But again, after that cutoff time, nope, you're using this. And because of that, our customers are now using this more than they send us emails. We onboarded a group where one person sat there and basically said, this is a waste of my time. I think it is stupid. You have added more work to me, and you know what? He is one of our best customers.
Also, we do have, there is an automatic response on the old email box that advises them to look into the new portal. We're hoping that word of mouth, I mean, this only launched in October, so it's gonna be close to a year. So most of our requesters have been onboarded, but we try to focus it on points of contact that have the authority to make request changes or content requests on behalf of their directorate. So the person who has been trained, a person was selected for training because they're the person that's supposed to be requesting. If it's just, Bob Smith, and they just want to request content because they can, then they're more than likely haven't gone through the training. So that also would trigger, why are you requesting content? You're not in my point of contacts for this particular field. So are you just doing it because you feel like it? Because there's a reason you haven't been trained or introduced to the system.
So
And then we have people who are just technology averse, like one of the people that were complaining was like, why can't you do this on my cell phone? I'm like, yeah, but your cell phone's you're flipping it over. Like that's, and it's not the new Samsung, it's the Nokia from 1992.
But again, your key takeaways are to test often, research your tool, know your personas, put yourself inside of their shoes, walk through it as many times as you can, onboard in phases because that's important. It helps you support them better. You're not bombarded with all of these different requests and all of these different people saying, hey, I need support. When you're doing your training, break them up into groups based off of the requests that they're sending. Make sure that the similar requests are being grouped together. So you're not sitting there wasting time showing them the whole spiel when you should really be focused on one section. And again, automate when possible because it makes your life easier.
Sorry, a question in the back?
I saw you had a survey option. I just wondering, is that with every request you have the survey?
With the stars? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a rating, just
Yeah.
1 through 5 kind of?
Yeah. I mean, we do have occasional, like you said, people, customers are people, so we do have, most of them have been 4 or 5, but we do have one that he did a 1-star. But it was a personal, like you just didn't do it as fast as I wanted you to do it, that kind of thing. And I was like, well, I can't work at 3 o'clock in the morning, to put your press release that no one cares about. So, I mean, not that people don't care about it, it's just, so it was more of a personal thing as opposed to the process worked, we just wanted it faster.
And that concludes our presentation for today.
Any more questions though?
Good job.
What's your request pool again?
For a moment.
Our issue types?
No, like, so the
How many
audience,
people
like,
would request?
yeah, like, I
Yeah.
think you mentioned in the beginning you had 2,700 people, but like, how many people are you receiving requests, fielding requests from?
2,700 agents to manage the entire country, but we have each directorate, we have 11 directorates, and we have approvers that are chief of staff, and each director has their chief of staff that's the final approver. within each directorate, there could be 1 to 5 people authorized to make requests. So
Okay.
some places will have 1, some places will have more. There's one particular case where the person is also the 508 compliance person, so that person is authorized to do it, but then there are other divisions or other, directorates that don't even have a compliance person. So they have 3 people authorized, 1 person is their, is the writer, editor, 1 person is the editor, 1 person is the I have to see it person.
And how does the rating system help you improve, I guess, your service to your customers?
Well,
To
for
the
us-
point you just made.
Yeah, to the point I just made. As the division chief, it would help me in advocating for us continuing to use the software and also showing us the process improvement and the success of the efforts that went into it. I know for a lot of us, we have to fight to get the changes that we know will, increase, basically make things more efficient. So there was a big fight between me and the CIO, and he was like, "You can't buy this software, blah, 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 blah." So once we showed him, hey, customers like this, and it's improved efficiency, especially because we lost a bunch of staff to other jobs where they get full telework. So that is what helped me as the chief. And then at the branch level, I'm sure it helps to see that, your efforts are being appreciated because granted, it took her 5 minutes to do that, but it doesn't hurt to have a pat on the back that they appreciated that you did that. Because of course they think everything is 1 click and it's done. So for me though, it was an advocacy thing. It would help with advocating.
I also want to just point out our team shrunk by 2 content admins, and it's just been me and I've taught another team member. So for at least a month, a little over a month, it was just me doing all of our requests. Because of this system, I have not had a bad review yet. Everything has been turned over quickly. I've had 0 complaints. If there was something they needed updated, hey Nikki, they will reply back into that queue, that email. I will go ahead, see it, go ahead and make that change for them, confirm the change, and we're good to go.
But it's not a tool to say only 1 person can do the job.
Oh yeah, yeah,
We're still trying to get more people.
On that reply, can you program it to include other people besides the person working the ticket? Okay.
You can set it as an automation. Automations are your friend. And they have templates in their automation section that will help you customize it for what you want it to do.
Yeah, like the one where we have the trigger when it says you haven't gotten approval from it's that kind, so you could put 3 people that need to see it.
And then it will send an email to their approvers and it'll have a nice fancy button. Do you approve? They click yes. If not, it'll kick it back to say no, it was not approved, and that request will never even hit our queue.
And does it refresh to say it's been 3 days, you still haven't replied or responded?
We have that, the SLA, so that will be something, actually you can have an automation set so that your customers can say, hey, it's been days, we haven't heard from you.
Right.
So you can do that too using the system.
Yes. And we had, I don't know if we're still sorting it out, but we had a proxy issue because if I'm out of town, then she would be my proxy, or so-and-so would be my proxy. And then with working in law enforcement, agents are gone 2 years. So if that person happened to be the approver and that person is gone or on their way out, how do we then